Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to another video. My name's Mark, I'm a rehabilitation specialist, and this video is going to focus around squats and how you can get back to squatting. Just before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That'll make sure that you keep up to date with all the latest educational videos from me on rehab and S&C and how to get you back doing the things you love. It also helps the channel out, so it's win-win from both of us. Alright, let's get going into the content then. So one of the reasons I like squats so much, as I've mentioned before, is that it's something you do in everyday life, but it also strengthens most of the lower body. There will be a follow-up video to this where I'll talk about the hinge, which predominantly strengthens the posterior chain, whereas the squat predominantly strengthens the anterior side of your body. So your quads predominantly and your abdominals to help you keep upright, as well as a little bit of calves and a little bit of hamstrings as well. But again, it's a movement that we produce quite often during sporting activities, running, is bending and flexion. It's something we call triple extension. So although you don't have real extension of the ankles, you're going from a dorsiflex to a neutral position in the ankle, you're still getting that similar sort of movement. And again, triple extension will be a follow-up video to this in the next few weeks as well. Squats are one of those exercises that are brilliant for lots of different injuries and problems, whether that's a knee injury, an ankle, a hip, or even a back injury. So this week I went through a virtual session with a patient. His predominantly condition is lower back pain, but we went through squats and deadlifts with him because that's important to get him back to the sport he loves, that is running. So there's loads of different types of squats. This video is going to run through predominantly double leg squat up to single leg variations. We're going to run through things that are loaded and unloaded. We're going to also run through some isometrics, how to start your squatting off with not traditional squat movements, and then again how to progress on to those single leg exercises. There's a lot of what we do in life is single leg walking and running, etc. However, if you're getting lots of pain with your squatting in your knees, your ankles, your hips, then it might be that you can't manage a full squat. So we want to look at doing some other things and other variations. Alright, enough of me waffling, let's get into some of these exercises then. So first exercise that we're going to have a look at is a sit to stand. So sit to stand is a really nice exercise that gets you into squatting, but with a little bit of support from a chair. And again, if you're a bit worried about the balance side of things, it's also something we do every day, all the time. So again, using a chair, here I'm using a wall. You can add some books or some blocks, as I've got here, to make the chair a little bit higher if you're finding that it's too low in some places. Again, if you're using a settee, etc. But using a dining room chair works perfectly. Again, my patio wall is a perfect height for this and will help us with some of the other exercises we've got coming up later on as well. So if you struggle between two levels of your books or your blocks and you're struggling with one, then go a little bit lower than you're comfortable with, and instead of actually standing up, just push your feet as hard as you can into the floor. So pushing into the floor is that isometric contraction that we talked about in the video that I did last week, that's up in that top corner now. So do give that a check out if you haven't done already. And again, in that video from last week, we also talked about wall sits. Wall sits are a nice variation as well to the squat. It's something you might want to think about incorporating if a free body weight squat isn't possible. So once you've nailed your sit to stand, we're then looking at the actual squat movement itself. So squatting is quite technical, people do struggle with it a little bit, so let's have a look at the actual free bodyweight squat in a bit more detail. Things to remember with bodyweight squats, you want to keep your chest up as you lower yourself down with nice even body weight between the sides. So taking a stance that feels comfortable for you, so usually hip to shoulder width apart. If you feel like you want to turn your feet out, then please do so. Again, everyone's going to be a little bit different. So chest up, bum back, use your arms for a bit of counterweight as you can. And again, trying to keep nice even weight between both sides when you're squatting down. So I resorted to coming inside as it keeps raining on the outside, as you can see from my damp t-shirt at the moment. So we were talking about squats before, so let's continue that discussion. So you want to try and keep your chest upright as you're squatting down. You also want to allow those knees to come forward to allow that. So again, it doesn't mean that you have to go all the way down to full depth. You just want to make sure that you have a decent amount of depth as you're squatting. Lower is better to a certain extent, but if it's causing you pain, don't push into that pain, certainly if it's above 4 out of 5 on that pain scale. So as we discussed, chest up, bum back, turn your toes out if you require that. Now for some people, they'll end up folding forwards quite a lot with their squats, so you want to make sure that you keep your chest up as much as you can. If you can't and you're really struggling, then putting a wedge, something underneath your feet. So adding some blocks like these yoga blocks here, really nice way to allow you to stay more upright. Certainly for myself, I am able to get down a little bit lower and be able to work into them. Now this is a good way to work around and even yourself up. Certainly if you've got an ankle or hip restriction, it's a good way to get you into a better position. Long term, if you can't find any improvements for those hips or ankles, then you might want to consist in investing in a pair of weightlifting trainers. So a pair like this, I'll link to in the description below, the ones I use. Again, we look at them, if you compare me in the lifters compared to in these trainers, you'll see my body position is much better when I'm wearing these. I'm able to keep my body upright. Also means if I go to the gym, don't have to worry about finding something to go under my heels. Weight plates work quite well in the gym, but you can also use something a little bit different as well. So pair of lifters, good way if you're going to do lots of squatting and you feel like it can get you into a better position, then it's going to help you out in the long run. You can also see if I add a weight into the equation, even though it's heavy, it does allow me to keep even more upright. So a front loaded weight, such as this kettlebell, works really well. Or you can even look at things like a weighted backpack, works really well. You can put that on your back as well as on your front to allow you to maintain upright position with a load on your back to overload the system. We can also look at single leg sit to stand. So that sit to stand we did earlier on in the video, we just simply do that as a single legged one. There's multiple variations to make this a little bit easier. So using the blocks as we did with the sit to stand, you can also use the toe as I'm demonstrating here, the toe of the foot to give you a little bit of support. You want to use that as little as you can to stand up. Again, if you're really struggling, go back to 2 legs, but really try and think about putting 60, 70, 80% of your weight through that effective side that you're trying to get stronger. And again, you can add backpacks to those sit to stands in the single leg and on double legs as well. So weighted front squats and back squats are really good ways to overload this exercise so you're able to produce more force. Generally, when we're looking at sporting activities, a lot of those require 2 to 4 times your body weight to control your own movements, so jumping, hopping, skipping, etc. As well as running is about 2.5 times your body weight. So being able to shift more mass than you weigh, is really important when it comes to sporting activities, and even if you're just going out running. And the stronger you are in general in your lower limbs, the easier life is going to be getting on and off the floor, getting up out of chairs. Squatting will really help you with all of those things. And there we have it, ladies and gents. So lovely video, few exercises to get you back to your squats, whether that's weighted or unweighted, and even some progressions onto some single leg squats to help make sure that you're strengthening up that leg as much as we can do. So thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing if you found this useful. Also share this video to anyone who you think might benefit from it. And apart from that, I'll see you again in the next video, ladies and gents.